right? Are you 57?
I'm a little younger. I'm like 53.
Well, then I guess I did good then.
Yeah.
I'll be 58 in 2 weeks, so,
Yeah,
or
so-
a month, yeah.
No, I have to take my glasses off because I'm 20/20 with my glasses off. So they were talking about doing a bifocal but have no prescription on the bottom
You're 20/20 with your glasses off, so then what do you need your glasses
Why,
for?
for distance.
Oh, so I'm
See, I can't
opposite.
see anything out here
So
right now.
my biggest problem was I'm one of those people where
Yeah.
my arms are still long enough technically,
Yeah.
but if I'm working at what's a normal distance,
Yeah.
I'm
If I keep this back, I
farsighted.
can see it. It's when I,
Yeah.
put it like this, I can read everything perfectly.
Yeah.
My grandmother had
and
the
it's-
same
and
thing.
And it's funny because my eye doctor refused to basically give me a prescription because
Yeah.
he says I'm somewhere between a 1.0 and a 1.25
Yeah.
on the pharmacy readers.
Yeah.
So he'd be
Yeah.
taking my money for nothing.
Like if I have the glasses on, I need like a one, because when I wear contacts, I bring cheaters with me.
Yeah.
And I need like a 1.25.
Yeah, yeah. So, the joys of aging.
Hi.
It only gets better.
What are you looking at us for?
I'm smiling. I'm smiling at you guys.
Joys of age.
Are we ready to rock? All right, you ready?
Yes.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, welcome everyone to the Town of Brookfield Select Board meeting Thursday, January 16th. Please stand and pledge the flag. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so announcements. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed, and we need the other note about the snow plowing and.
Okay, well, I can give you that, but we haven't had it every single week, so I figured people.
I
know
just
by
don't
now.
remember.
But if you want to do it.
Oh.
No, I just.
No.
Also, snow or ice removed from driveway, sidewalks, or private property shall not be plowed, shoveled, or blown across any public way, street, or roadway. There's a winter parking ban in effect through April 1st. There shall be no parking on any streets between the hours of 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Vehicles in violation will be ticketed and towed at the owner's expense.
I have an announcement also.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So I have an announcement that the Tantasco Regional School District, the Carpentry Program with the teacher and approximately 13 kids have started the fixing the ceiling to do with the insulation at the police department. So they got 2 days in this week and the project is well underway.
Thank you.
Yep.
Full-time highway worker wage discussion in the packet. Yeah, I definitely can read that.
And Mr. Chair, if you recall, Lindsay had done some preliminary work gathering up some of that information. Fortunately, we weren't very successful over the last several days getting a lot of new information. We only got Brimfield and Spencer at this point. We have other requests out there. But even as you can see just from the two additional ones from Brimfield and Spencer, the numbers are still, pretty much in line, if you will, with what we saw with the others, except for in Spencer, we will not mention to the applicants that their highway superintendent is making over $60 an hour. So we don't want to mention that to our interviewees.
He's got a big responsibility in Spencer.
Yeah, it's
Probably close to 5 times the size of the community.
exactly,
so.
yeah.
Is Spencer a DPW?
I believe they are.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's a pure DPW, but it is all but a DPW.
And so we're talking operator, laborer.
That's correct.
Correct.
Now, when it says like, you know, West Brookfield, 2385 to 3018, I did see in some stuff that they have like a step and grade. Is that what that is? I know Karen sent something from Brimfield, a Collins report thing.
Yeah, if they have the traditional chart, the step and grade chart, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
The numbers that were presented to us, I believe, were the current wage for that particular operator in this case.
Did you guys happen, I know Karen emailed us today, the Collins report from
I
Brookfield.
didn't read through it. I saw it come through, but I didn't get a chance to
So
really
in there, it
consume
kind of broke down median wages across the state.
What is our current rate for?
I think Bruce had it last week, 2387. Yeah.
Okay.
That's very close.
Yeah.
And West Brookfield just had the ad in the paper hiring a full-time and a part-time help, starting at the 2385. And the ad did not talk about the high end of the wage.
And was that for CDL
Yeah.
and hoisting
Yeah.
and everything?
Yeah, because it was a full-time employee, that's correct.
If the board would like, I mean, we could certainly continue our research, try to solicit some additional information, because I don't believe we're at the point where we're ready to quote-unquote hire.
We don't have any. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see what Holland and Wales are doing.
And then I don't know if it's appropriate to bring up based on the agenda, but, you know, last week we agreed to have Herb Chafee come in, and one of the questions, I know when I had spoke to him, was, what's the rate gonna be?
I think it's really clear to me that we bumped the rate to $30 an hour for a Class B operator, and I know that was snow plowing, but he's also a Class B operator as a part-time employee, and I thought that it wasn't a stretch at all to pay him $30 an hour part-time to run a loader very proficiently, a backhoe, a dump truck. I thought the number was pretty much in line where we're not paying benefits on it, so I would be comfortable with that.
So my only question with that is, would we need to change anything in the way of how part-time employees are classified? And
Well,
No, he's seasonal. He's a seasonal operator for
So
the
you can just
emergency operators.
choose-
You can choose
Yeah.
whatever pay you want to for a seasonal worker.
Okay.
So you're not constrained if the position is defined as seasonal, you're not constrained by descriptions that are in the bylaws, you're not constrained by if we had a step and grade that was active, you're not constrained by that.
Okay.
For anybody that's classified as seasonal, it's not considered that. And that snow operator, ad hoc operator type role falls in that category.
so it's clear to me, but, so you basically confirm that, are you good with that rate to have him as a?
I mean, we had the discussion. Is that
Yeah.
that's where we landed on the,
Yes.
is that where we landed on
Well,
Class B
I know it
drivers?
was 33 for the Class B drivers for the snow. Do we want to?
No, it was
No, it's 30.
What did I just
It's
say?
33,
Oh, you meant 30.
yeah. So I mean, functionally, I don't see a problem with it. He
Yeah.
can't go over a certain number of hours for the year. So long as we're in that category, I think, I mean, we're on the right side of the angels
Okay.
legally. Let's put it that way. So as long as no one has any real heartburn with it, I think we could go
Well,
there.
knowing that you could do up to 20 hours a week or more than 20 hours a week for less than a 6-month period, we would never get to that point
Yeah.
at all, 'cause
Yeah,
we-
but
we
the absolute
planned it
cap
over
is
10 weeks.
900 hours.
Yeah. So do we want to make a motion in that regard? Because I don't think it was,
Does it-
Charles-
I don't know that it needs to be, though.
well,
Yeah,
I
mean,
believe it
yeah,
was
usually,
specifically.
usually we
yeah.
do, usually we have to approve
Okay.
pay rates.
Only because I think we approved $30 just for the snow plowing, not for
Right,
that
so
specific.
I'll make a motion that, we set the rate for the ad hoc work described for Mr. Chafee at $30 an hour as a seasonal role.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We did get the special municipal employee thing handled for the folks that are fire and EMS, correct? Did we ever get that officially voted?
We did do some of them. I could not swear on the Bible that the firefighters were one, but I could definitely check.
If not, can we get it on the next agenda,
I read my mind.
please? Sir, through you.
Is it possible to ask a question?
Yeah.
Was this for a specific seasonal, whatever the designation was? I mean, it's basically sort of customizing for her, or is this for anyone who comes in, if her decides to, or moves or whatever?
I would
This would be for that position,
He,
is that right?
he was the only applicant that met that criteria, so that's what we went forward with.
Okay.
So I would say it's specifically for him. If someone else comes along, I think we'll deal with it as a case-by-case basis.
There's a specific subset of work that needs to get done that requires that explicit skill set, so. We're not opening a can of worms, no.
Jeff, it's for 8 weeks, not to go beyond that.
Yeah, Jeff, just to kind of allay any of your concerns, yes, so it'll
We
have
said
no
8 to 10
carryover effect into
We discussed
fiscal year
8 to 10.
26.
Okay.
This is the second week that's gone by and he hasn't worked, so.
And actually, I just want to clarify, because I'm looking at the agenda. Are we allowed to effectively do that? I'm now thinking.
I admit we're stretching it. Our toes are right on the line.
We probably should have added that.
Well, then I can rescind my motion, and we can put it on the next agenda.
Put it on the next agenda.
I think that goes on the next agenda then. I'll make a motion to rescind that motion.
I mean, I'll second it.
Yeah.
But for discussion.
For discussion.
Is the water over the dam at that point? Does it do any good to take it back, or how does that?
I mean, we had a discussion, but since
So once we
so-
realized it was out of line, we took it back?
Yeah.
Well, by taking it back, what we functionally do is that while we had a discussion of something that wasn't on the topic, which, because it wasn't on the agenda, the public technically didn't have a means to expect to see it, right?
Okay.
But by rescinding the decision and putting it on the next agenda, I think we ameliorate the condition because, one, they get to review the tape, and two, no formal decision, they'll know, it'd be the equivalent of a straw poll. People will
Okay.
know the way that we're leaning, and if anything, if they want to come comment on it in the next meeting, then they have an opportunity to comment on it until it's de facto.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
I agree 100%. By not actually having an authorized vote for a particular action, but clearly everyone knows the direction the board is leaning, by having it on, say, next week or the next meeting's agenda, they do have that opportunity to voice any concerns that they might have.
yeah,
Okay.
so. Should keep us on the right side of the angels, or as close as we can get at this point, since,
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
And so what did we decide for the rest? Do we want to?
I think we're better off holding. We have, and we'll, I'd like a chance to kind of review this. I'd like
Yeah.
to see Holland and Wales in there as well as maybe
Yeah.
another town that's close,
Yeah.
Hardwick. And then I think Hardwick's a lot closer to our population as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's no urgency with, the highway committees
Yeah,
about to
they-
start
right.
interviewing. So
Right.
I think we have another
Do you
week
guys,
anyway.
where are you guys at with that?
You want me to come up there?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
So I went down and talked with Lindsay this morning and picked up the resumes for the full-time position. So I started to put a spreadsheet together like we had used for the superintendent. Haven't gone through the resumes yet. Lindsay had gone through and done a nice job putting the information together on a you know, not on a form, but just information. So I was putting it on a form. And I guess the committee will do a pre-screening of those at some point and forward the information on to either the superintendent or the board.
How many was it, Doc?
So I picked up, I believe the number is either 12 or 13 for the full-time position, and I did not take the ones for the part-time position. I think there was another 10 or 12 maybe. And since I think we were only directed to work, to look at the full-time positions, I didn't take the other ones.
Okay.
So at our next meeting, I'll make copies of the resumes, and the committee can look at it and kind of pre-screen them.
And when is your next meeting?
February 5th, I believe, if I remember right.
A little ways out, no, okay.
Yep,
But if we put information together, we can call a meeting earlier.
we could.
Might be helpful. Okay, well, thank you.
And I think one of the other things, as Don had started to allude to, that the board should at least consider is when it comes down to the finalists, if you will, whether or not the board wants to take on, similar to how we're doing tonight with the highway superintendent, or is this something that they want to delegate to the superintendent if the timing works out correctly? So it's just, once again, something to consider how we want to address that final stage of the hiring process for the full-time employee.
So certainly less than what we thought. When we were told 25,
Well,
I thought it was all full-time. I didn't realize it was
She
a,
said she had 24
Yeah.
applicants, which she did.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's accurate.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a breakdown between, you know, the full-time and the part-time.
but it's still a good number to pick from, so.
It's
yeah.
a pretty decent number, yeah.
Yeah.
We had that many for the superintendent, and instantly drew them back to a half dozen.
Right. Yep.
Town hall carpets.
Yeah, so kick it off, and Don, by any means, please fill in any blanks that I may leave. The Town Hall Improvement Committee has approved to pay for, out of their own expense line wage, or excuse me, line account, to, in essence, replace and install a new carpet here in the banquet hall. There's been subsequent discussion as to whether or not it makes more sense to make it a, I guess, a larger project, if you will, where we would actually also look at addressing the other offices that are carpeted and see if we can achieve economies of scale and get a better, I guess, full price. Currently, right now, just for the banquet hall is approximately $5,500. And I do have some swatches here that if y'all want to take a look, see, if you have a particular preference. And this would be,
I'm not a designer.
and this would be for an actual wall-to-wall, not the tile.
I'd probably keep it close to the same only because.
There is one that's actually very close.
I was going to say, actually, if for no other reason, just because the wall paint,
Yeah.
if I was going to try to pretend to have any type of aesthetics, I would probably go with that, just to manage to not have it look all kinds of tore up compared to the green and red wall paint.
So my only concern is, I don't know how long this carpet's been put in, but I think it's been a significant amount of time. I would be more interested, so I think for longevity, we get a long time out of it, and I think we'd probably get as long out of that. But the employees are complaining about mildew, what's happened, what's coming up through the basement. I know the Board of Health did a study. Were you guys able to get a hold of that study and
Yeah.
what the
Yes.
outcome
Yep.
was?
So there's been two there've been two studies. One was about 5 years ago, and the last one was a year or so ago.
Yeah, last summer.
Something like that. I believe both of them were concerned with air quality in the building, and one was specifically about the carpet. That's why when the Town Hall Improvement Committee was asked to look at this room, the most expedient way of doing it is to replace it. If you're going to add space, you're going to add offices, I will say it won't be at the same dollar value. And the reason for that is they are going to take up the carpet, leave the underlayment. So if you're going to do the other offices, there'll be the underlayment costs as well as, so there will be a cost difference. So if you're going to have the Town Hall Improvement Committee get quotes for that, we need to know which offices so that they can come out and measure them and determine, what the estimate would be.
So I know the acoustics has been a big issue.
Correct. So there was discussion about taking the carpet up, seeing the condition of the underlayment. I think the underlayment is okay from what we're seeing. If you take up the underlayment, we have no idea what the hardwood floor looks like underneath that. If we were to do that, it could be quite some time before you get to either refinishing it or putting down a new hardwood or putting a carpet down on top of it. So the Town Hall Improvement Committee was leaning toward replacing the carpet because the air quality had mentioned that they recommended it be removed. That was the quickest, easiest, and least expensive way of doing it. And I believe the people that gave us a quote were the people that installed this about 20 years ago. So,
Was it
Yeah, it was more
House
than
of Ray
20.
Karen or
Yeah.
something?
yeah.
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 So I don't want to take away anything from what you've done, but I would like to see a more long-term approach to not have the carpet. I think it would be a situation to spend a little more to put a hardwood floor in, similar like the town clerk's office. I know it's probably going to be 4 times the amount, but I think it would last 50 or 60 years or more and not be in the same situation with the air quality 5, 10 years down the road.
Well, I think the main reason for the issue with the air quality was the fact that the carpet was being washed repeatedly during the week, and we've tried to be sure that that is not happening anymore. You already alluded to the acoustics. And it's not, I think the committee realizes that a hardwood floor in here would be rather noisy, very noisy. So that's the other reason why we lean toward the carpet.
Well, it's beyond your budget that you.
Oh, that would probably be beyond, I think we have 14,000.
It'd be beyond that.
Something in our budget. So when we agreed, we were talking about ARPA funds or Town Hall Improvement funds, so our committee voted to support the project using ARPA funds, and if that was not available, then use Town Hall Improvement funds. Have no idea what the estimate would be to rip this up, refinish it, or replace it.
Yeah.
And I believe all of those would probably be beyond what our budget is.
Yes, I would agree with that by maybe more than double.
I would guess. I mean, I don't know.
So I just hate to rush into it and throw $5,500 at it, and then we deal with it in a few years again, because I think some of the issue is coming from the basement, not only the water from the top down, but from the basement as well, because in Brenda's office, I think we had the same issue, and I don't think there's any carpet in there currently, is there?
No.
There's no carpet in either of those or
Yeah, I
the
was going to say
water.
that the challenge is that whether you go carpet or hardwood, it doesn't necessarily solve the issue if the issue is coming up from the basement.
Yeah,
Well,
so
the issue from the basement's going to get solved from the dehumidifiers.
it's going to be mitigated for
Yeah.
sure, right?
The
But
other
also-
thing that the Town Hall Improvement Committee is taken on as a task is to seal any of the penetrations in the floor, between the basement and the first floor with a fire stop caulking, which we haven't done yet, but we will do that.
Okay.
The other issue I think that was on the report was they wanted to fix the a suspended ceiling in the old police station. Well, that's a very small portion of the ceiling volume down in the basement, and to repair that one little section when all the rest of it's open doesn't seem to make any sense.
So, moving forward with the offices, they sell that vinyl plank product. It's like a tongue-in groove and it locks together really well. Would that be a possibility for the two offices rather than leaving the wood? And I thought maybe that vinyl product might help from things from coming up and might be better for the two employees in the two offices.
So are you talking about these two offices?
Yeah. Specifically, I don't know beyond that. I haven't been much beyond those two. I guess the water department's office would maybe one of them as well.
Yeah, that doesn't have,
It might be carpeted in there, is it?
it is not carpeted.
It's not?
It is.
Yeah,
It
I
is
think
carpeted?
is.
Bruce, are you familiar with that vinyl plank product that I'm talking about?
Yes, but I have one other question about this topic. Are the two fans still running downstairs?
I'm not aware. I have not been down there.
Fans? No,
Fans.
there is like, Jacob has a big dehumidifier down there, but
There was
there's,
two exhaust fans that they installed in this town hall years ago that ran constant to get the mildew out of the basement so it wouldn't come up. In this corner of the town hall over here, exhausting out back, never stopped, let it run all the time.
do you know anything about it?
Yeah, two big fans in the ceiling.
No, these are exit fans.
Oh, I don't know that. I haven't seen it.
You
That's
walk right in
interesting.
the corner of the town hall and you can smell the mildew.
Really?
That's why the town installed them at the time.
Wow.
It's, it helped it.
Have to do a filter?
Yeah, if you get rid of it before it can come up.
They're in the vicinity of the oil tanks downstairs.
Seeing we're rushing into it, this has now been 5 years since we had our first report. It's up to the Board of Selectmen to vote and give us direction for what you want us to do. We did agree.
Well, I mean, you'd have to go to town meeting to even get the floor for if you were to go the hardwood route, you'd have to go to town meeting.
Right, much beyond what we've already
Right.
voted on, would probably have to go to a town meeting.
Right.
Right.
I just don't want to throw 5,500 out and then we eventually get to the point where we put the hardwood in. But I don't want to take away from the town hall committee's work either, so.
Well, eventually, at the rate that we're going, I think the carpet would be at its end of its useful life by the time we get around to the hardwood anyway. So, so I don't think we're going to put it down and 6 months later be talking the hardwood. I think we're going to put it down and, 3 to 5
Forget
years
about
later
it.
be talking about
And
the
it
hardwood.
might not go, if it doesn't go at town meeting, then,
Then you're, then.
right,
what
and
are
we
you gonna
have
do?
the issue of
What
Yeah.
did the study show?
high mold.
The study showed that there was air quality issues, and they suggested, they did mention the basement, and they did mention that they thought that the carpet should be removed, and that any penetrations between the basement and the first floor.
So they did find an air quality issue though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
Okay?
And
Thank you.
Don's right. Stop saturating the carpet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But I think that has.
Well, and it,
Am I right, Don? There's been no more.
I can't answer that for sure. I would like to hope that it has stopped, yes.
Yes, that's been stopped.
and it's an old carpet as
Yeah.
well.
Unfortunately, the mold and mildew is built
In
in,
there.
yeah.
Right.
So it's,
okay,
Can't
so
remediate it at
I'd like
this
to
point.
make a motion that we accept the proposal from the Town Hall Improvement Committee and get this ripped up and replaced.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, you have discussion, I'd like to speak.
Yeah, you don't need a point of order, but if you have a discussion, you
I
can,
want to interrupt you.
yeah, thank you.
No, you waited to interrupt me.
Yeah, I'm listening to all this stuff going on here about the cellar. First of all, the water's coming into the cellar from the front. And if you notice between the building and the sidewalk, there's a big gap there. All the water's going into the cellar. And you also discussed having dehumidifiers here about a year ago. Where did that go? So before you do anything up here, I think you should solve the problem down in the cellar. If there's a health issue. As far as this rug here goes, this is a commercial rug. It's not going to hold too much like a normal carpet in a house. That will hold a lot of bacteria and mold. This is a thin type, so it's not going to hold a lot of moisture, but you should solve the problem downstairs first before you go decide what you're going to do up here, because you're just defeating the whole situation here. Also, Paul, like you said, Paul cannot keep washing this carpet. There's no need to wash this carpet as much as he does. And nothing against Paul. He does a good job, but you got to make sure he doesn't do any water on this carpet. But you should do something in the cellar first before you go deciding what you want to do up here, because you're defeating the whole thing again. We're just going backwards again. And if Bruce said there's fans down there, then we should get them operating and get the dehumidifiers going. Then we might have something here.
I think in regard to the dehumidifier, we have the money approved and allocated, right?
I would have to double check. I know it was certainly on our ARPA list, but obviously we didn't
Right.
utilize ARPA for that. So at this point, I would have to say no, because I do not recall at annual town meeting there was any set-asides for dehumidification.
Okay.
Especially since at the time of town meeting, we hadn't even had the air quality assessment.
Right, so it wasn't there.
But you should talk and see if you can seal up between the foundation and the sidewalk out there, because it's just like a funneling right into the cellar, you know?
So Dave is right, you know, moisture has been an issue in the basement in the past. The conduits by the utility poles were sealed about 3 or 4 years ago. That's where a significant amount of the water was coming from.
Yeah, and I think what he's talking about is that stairway, you can see that there's a gap. But from being under there, I know there's a gap there, but I think it's almost like it's a box under there. So I don't know if it's coming in over there. I'd have to look at that.
Bruce, didn't our past highway boss, Herb Chafee, wasn't he going to do something with drainage in the front at one point,
There is a
6, 7
drain
years
out
ago?
front.
I'm sorry?
There is a drain out front.
There is a drain, okay.
And one of them drains directly into the catch basin on Central Street. But that has to be kept open too.
Okay. So would the Town Hall Improvement Committee be interested in digging deeper into that and remediating some of the problem before we do the carpet?
Well, we can look into the fan situation. We did install a dehumidifier down in the basement, in the computer area, and I believe that part of the computer book, we're going to put a commercial grade.
Yeah, I thought there was something.
So the dehumidifier is actually part of the technology upgrade
I thought
package.
Jacob was doing, Jake, were you doing something to do with that, to do with the computers?
Well, I submitted proposals. I believe it was originally supposed to be for ARPA, and then we moved the funding around. That's the last I knew about it.
Oh, last minute when we were moving
Okay.
everything, it got moved off to the engineering.
Yeah, there has to be a low temperature dehumidifier too. You know, a standard dehumidifier won't work. Because the temperature in the basement is too low.
Too low, yeah.
I think there's I'm gonna ask her, the drain in the basement floor, in the center of the floor, somehow I think we opened that up one time. Brought it up back here to one of the new stone drains or something. I'm not sure.
I remember her being part of something to do with it.
Yeah. But I know the one up front exits to Central Street. And that one is the one that catches the water.
The bulk of it off the
In
roof?
front of the building and drains out front, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can look into the fans, we can look into if the dehumidifier is not on the docket at the time. If somebody wants to get us a cut sheet and we can fund that, that's something that the Town Hall Improvement Committee could look at. And like I said, we will be working on sealing the floor penetrations.
Okay.
Where were we?
Well, I
believe
made a
you
motion,
made a
I have a
motion.
motion that's out there hanging. And
Yeah.
and I just,
But I thought I seconded it for discussion, right?
I don't think you did.
It was a
No, you got
partial.
interrupted by Mr. Holcraft first.
My intent was to second it for discussion.
Yeah, so,
So my part of it is, I would like before, I'm okay with the carpet. Reluctantly, I'd love to see the whole place get done, but like you say, time and money is always an issue. So I would like, before we do the carpet, that we do as much as we can in the basement, as much as your committee is willing to take on, or the Town Hall Improvement Committee is willing to take on to get that done. And if you need more help to do something else, if you'd be willing to come back before you carpet, I think that would be a good compromise.
yeah, that's actually what I was going to recommend was I think you've got awareness of some of the things that folks have pointed out about, what,
We can certainly look at the fan issue, we can look and see if there's, where the moisture, if there is moisture penetration, maybe we can seal that.
yeah,
And
just do due diligence before we put the carpet down.
Yeah, and you'll see next time you come through that front stair, I've been noticing it, that the gap is opening up where they might have caulked it at one point, and it's,
Yeah.
but I can see it.
Yeah.
So-
They've already done an air quality test on the carpet in the dry season to make sure.
The DEP was out and did it, so I don't know when it was done and what the,
Because
He's got a good point. When they did do it, it was
what
in a high
what
humidity.
happens when you
Midsummer.
Open up the carpet and now you've got mildew underneath it. Are we prepared?
right. So then, secondly, Don, I would like to know if the Town Hall Improvement Committee would like to investigate the other three offices to do with, and I thought a vinyl product might help with the air quality in the other offices. I know Brenda is pretty concerned with it. I told her that I would look into it more. So if you guys are willing to do that, I think you would need the same underlayment type product to make a flat floor and then put the vinyl plank flooring over it, just a click flooring, and
What if you
it's
just,
roughly $4 a square foot. It's a pretty good commercial grade.
what if you just took a 6 mil poly and threw it on the ceiling downstairs?
I don't know that that's such a
What
good
What a
plan.
wonderful thought, but what a mess down there. Nothing is just,
No, like under those two sections.
Yeah, basically using it as like a
As a vapor barrier.
Vapor barrier, yeah.
there's obstacles everywhere.
Yeah.
Spraying it might be a better option than, but I don't know.
Nobody dares say that anymore, right?
I know. But I think you'd have to power wash everything first, let it dry, and then go in with some type of product to spray and seal. So,
Is that one question as far as the mildew, is there an acceptable level of mildew, or you just want it totally eradicated? Or what is?
I don't know that
what
we're-
is the standard that you would go towards before you put the carpet in?
I don't want to go there. I don't have a lot of information, but I don't think we're going to totally eradicate it. And I think that we could be open, like Bruce said, we could be open up more of a can of
It's
worms.
basically a judgment call as far as whether it seems to be okay or not.
Yeah.
I do know the fans were put in for a reason. I do know they worked. But I also know it's a maintenance item.
Yep.
And you probably have to buy one a year, there's two.
In
Or at
the
least
past,
clean them, at least clean them out.
in the past, we had a custodian that did more than what we have
Maintenance
now.
work,
I
yeah.
mean, Bill Thompson did more for maintenance,
And
and
they worked. You could walk by those fans and smell it. So you knew that wasn't coming up. It was going out.
yeah.
what I would ask is that the selectmen pick a color choice tonight so that I can get that sample board back to the contractor.
That was good.
Beth, I'm good. Yeah, I'm gonna let you decide.
You let me decide?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the one that pretty much is the same color as what we have now.
I know, yeah.
basically.
What's the name of that? Is there a name
It
or a
is,
number?
there is both.
Grab a drink
It's
before we can-
high
Yeah.
score 00806.
Is he here? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
The motion is for the Town Hall Improvement Committee to proceed on the carpet. And basically what the discussion was fundamentally for them to proceed on the carpet immediately following going through and taking care of what they can take care of.
Mitigating what we can.
Mitigating what you can, yeah.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So is Ron gone out?
Yeah, he's grabbing them now.
Brr.
We'll obviously take things out of order here.
Yep.
Yep.
I'd like to introduce Kyle Wachowski to our first applicant, so G2 for the highway.
Nice to see you again, Kyle.
Good, Brad.
Beth Coughlin.
Relax. Relax. I know you want this, but you're public speaking.
Mr. Chairman, if you could maybe just make an announcement to make sure that there is no public comment or reactions throughout the interviews for all three, so we have a level playing field.
So, yeah, no discussion.
Correct.
Yeah, so no discussions throughout the process. All right, who wants to kick off?
Do that, bro. Go ahead. Go ahead, you're the chairman.
So, thanks for joining us. We're just going to have a few questions for you. If you want to take a minute and just kind of share where you're coming from and what, I guess, drew you to Brookfield or this opportunity.
Absolutely. So I've been working in the municipal field of construction my entire life. I've worked for small departments, large departments. I'm currently in a foreman's position right now, working for a town. And life brought me to West Brookfield about a year ago. And I love it out here. I love the town. I love the country feel. And I think my skills and my experience could serve this community well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, Brett? Were you going to ask one? Or?
You want me to start? So my only question would be, given that your position was in a foreman, I think you were kind of receiving information, from the top and never really dealing with the public as much, or at least that's kind of my guess, and get me if I'm wrong. But I'm just wondering, in Brookfield here, you're kind of the face of it all. We're a very small town. Do you have experiences working with the public where they can come in with some scrutiny?
Yes, PR is a strong suit of mine. So any and all of what we call service requests out there are filtered directly to me through email on the highway division. And I worked on a 24 to 72-hour window to make contact with the homeowner and assess the situation and see if it was work order worthy. And if it was, then we would schedule the work and execute that accordingly. Also on Chapter 90 road paving projects, I was kind of point lead for communications, which is the point of contact for police, fire, the bus system for schools, the USPS, trash pickup, and anybody else that might be affected by a road closure or a detour.
And so, as a foreman, how many people did you have reporting to you?
I have 6 that directly on my team, and in the dormant season now, we team up and collaborate with a couple other divisions, so I would say as much as 22 members are under me at one time.
Excellent.
Did you want me to go?
Either way.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
So, Brookfield's, again, small community. How many water services in Brookfield, Bruce, approximately?
492.
So we have under 500 water services in town. Are you currently familiar with working with the water department as well as are you a DPW, or how do you handle it where you are?
Currently, our water department is going through some changes, slightly understaffed, not fully staffed at the moment, and some newer guys with not a whole lot of experience. They've been leaning on the highway department, such as myself and my team. When there is a main break or a service leak, I've assisted with the dig safe portion of that, assessing the roadway. Once again, resident communication, whether it's a business or homes that will be affected by a shutdown, and then the pavement removal, cutting and removal, excavation, pipe repair, backfill, compaction, and assessing the road after for pavement thickness.
So do you guys do the pavement as well?
Absolutely.
Is that something you'd be willing to do here in Brookfield?
Yes, sir.
So we have a one-person water department currently, so that wouldn't be an issue working hand in hand when it's been pretty low maintenance as far as, but occasionally we do have a break, and me personally, I'd like to see more interaction with the water department and highway. And that's something you'd be willing to do.
Absolutely.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. You're gonna have to forgive me, because I work in like a corporate environment, so I have corporate-y questions, but they're pertinent.
That's okay.
Is that fair? So just be warned, so they're wordy. All right. So, tell me about a time when you had conflicting priorities. What was your decision process, and how did you get through all the requirements?
Conflicting priorities for me would be, I'd say I had a daily job that I wanted to get done that was scheduled, and the team was already assembled, and then an emergency jet project came on, and I would prioritize accordingly and have a tailgate talk. And emergency situations come first when you work for the public. You have to really be able to think on your feet and make decisions in the field, competent, open-minded decisions. And I would put my goals on the back burner for the work I scheduled, but I would promptly get to them after that.
Okay, great. Thank you for that.
A pet peeve of mine is salt and what it's doing to our environment. What do you know about liquids versus the salt that we're putting down? And if you know anything, I'd like you to expand on how much the town could benefit by going to liquids versus pure salt.
The ability to pre-treat with liquids, there's benefits to it when it comes to the cost-saving side. There's less of a tonnage overall use of salt. Given the right circumstance, it minimizes disruption to traffic because of the time that you're able to pre-treat based on weather conditions. But I think the biggest decision maker overall is environmental sustainability. If you minimize any amount of scatter or blow off or your reduction in salt by even 10%, that's a huge win for the environment.
Thank you.
Okay. Two-part question, okay? First one is the one we always want to talk about in interviews, okay? Tell us about, like, the thing professionally that you put together that you're proudest of, right? It was something that you accomplished that was just awesome, right? And how you put it all together. Then I want you to share with me your most glorious failure, the thing that you went in well-intentioned, right? Really planned to do great things, went sideways on you, and what you learned out of it.
Okay. My greatest achievement was installing an underground infiltration system in a brand new cemetery that we were opening up in town. It was a massive project. We did it actually in one of the mild winters last year. It was 2 holes the size of football fields with huge infiltration tanks, trailer dumps worth of stone, and my assistant manager tasked me with the responsibility of overseeing the parts, the install, the planning, the subcontractors, and the team to assemble it all. So when you keep in mind safety, PPE, it was a huge success for us, all said and done looking back. And being able to document that through pictures and look back on that, that was one of my biggest successes in my career. My biggest failure was, I would say, being overzealous when it comes to excavation near underground utilities. Trusting the DigSafe program, I would say, but there's always a room for error. Some of the gas line installs back in the day were 6 to 8 inches, no soil change, no tape for an indicator, so we put a spaded shovel through one that was a direct burial 8 inches deep, and all of a sudden the fire department was there and the police officers were there, and I learned a good lesson that you have to really know your surroundings when it comes to underground utilities.
So,
I thought of a question.
okay.
Road preservation, I mean, because we don't get a lot of Chapter 90 funds, what is your thoughts on how to preserve our roads? You know, from things like seal coating the cracks to, I know there's some other techniques and other type of asphalt stuff that you can put over the roads to help kind of preserve them. What's your experience with that, or what do you know about that?
I have experience with crack seal, cape seal, micro seal. They all have their different benefits situationally,
Yeah.
depending on the existing condition of the roadway.
Yeah,
I feel like we can improve the longevity of our roads just from normal routine maintenance. I mean, water is our worst nightmare.
Yeah.
So the least amount of water we can keep on these roads, the better.
yeah,
So as far as techniques to that,
fog sealing, I think, was one of the, I
They-
listened to some webinars, and there was the topic of fog
There's
sealing.
not
I
a-
think there's other terms for the same thing.
there's not a gigantic cost benefit to using those techniques versus, chip sealing or just a typical mill and overlay, but it all
Yeah.
depends on the existing condition of the pavement.
Yeah,
But crack sealing will give you a few more years on your road,
yeah.
yes.
I'm good.
Okay, last question. Promise. So, talk to us a little bit about how you build a team and how you, what approach you take, or what approach you would plan to take going from fairly big team to one that's small and we've got some hiring to do. So,
The leadership approach that I think works best for me is a transformational leadership approach, and that's being optimistic, utilizing mentorship, hands-on in the field, and, kind of use intellectual stimulation once in a while as well when it comes to learning new ideas and making them fun and creative and innovative. There's, if everybody on your team has a shared vision, that team is going to mesh all that better. So I would say, in my experience, it's nice to be able to onboard your own team because you get a true feel for who they are and you get to learn who they are from conception, and you all grow together, cross-train together, and professionally develop together.
thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay.
I have an unfair advantage.
You've already-
You've already spoken with him.
Went through 8 questions with him, so I'm good. If you guys have more, go at it, but I'm good.
Okay.
No, yeah,
I'm good.
I think I'm good.
Well, thank you very much, Kyle.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Do you have
Thank
any
you.
questions for us?
Just one. Is there any talks in the future for the department to maybe entertain the idea of tablets for asset management and data collection when it comes to what we own for assets, being as a way to document the work you do, capture all your catch basins, outfalls?
So you'll have a budget that you would go through, and I'm sure you would fit that in the budget. If it's not in the current one that you have, I think now is the time of season that we're going through budget. So if you're elected, you would have plenty of time to come in to sit with the finance committee and pitch your needs.
Understood.
And for me, that type of language is very stimulating. I would be 100% in favor of that. Because up until now, we've only had paper. And not that doesn't work, it works, but when we have a new regime come in, that computer program or whatever you develop would be really good if you were to leave here, and the next person come along would be able to capitalize on what you made for the community.
Absolutely.
Another question I just thought of. Where you were, did you guys have Civic Plus, that C-Click fix or whatever, or a way for residents to make complaints on the town website?
We had a quick link on the website, yes.
Yeah. And what is your experience with that? Was it helpful, hurtful?
We label it as report a concern.
Yeah.
It's helpful. In a way,
Yeah.
I think it helps more so because it doesn't flood the front office with phone calls.
Right.
So if they're done online, they get filtered directly to me if it's a divisional highway issue, and I can assess that in the field.
Yeah.
So it kind of cuts out an admin step.
Yeah, we don't have that currently. I know it's something that we're talking about, mulling around.
But, you know, I mean, we could test drive one. I mean, crap, I could write the HTML to put that in a form and just do it.
Yeah, Steve's got some ideas.
Okay, well, you're probably, you could write it quicker than I could. I'd have to dust off skills that are about a decade old, but I do know that you can make a simple web form that ships its own email in less time than I probably used to describe it, so. But, no, so I didn't want to hog everything,
Yeah.
so I've asked all of the questions that are kind of my standards, so I appreciate it. And it was clear from your answer to the other two gentlemen that you maybe know which end of a shovel actually is supposed to hit
Yes,
things
ma'am.
with. So,
That's a
good with that.
Thank you.
So,
So, great. Well, thank you for coming in.
great, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
See you again. All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Look at you talking about technology.
I know. I expected you to kick him out the door when you said that. Come on.
Not my style, but I see what my weaknesses are.
Fair enough. I'm very proud of you.
You don't always have to know how to do something, Beth. You just need to know someone that does.
100%.
Oh, that's a fact. I always joke about the fact that on the team that I manage, I'm probably the dumbest one on there. I just know a little bit about what each one of them knows, that's all. Enough to be dangerous.
Right, right.
I think that's most of IT management. Their guys know way more than they do. But managing people is
It's a piece of work,
a skill in its own.
Yeah,
so.
that's why I have very few employees. I'm a better worker than manager. There's no doubt about it.
The next one starts at 8, well, third one's at 8:30.
So we late start, but we were quick on the first one, so.
I can go home. You guys get this under control.
Is he on the,
You didn't put a dud in the pile when you passed him along, so couldn't we just kind of like pull a name out of a hat?
The committee vetted pretty well.
What's that?
Oh, here it is.
Somebody just,
There you go.
maybe, I'm gonna let them in.
So,
Want to turn the camera?
oh, was he not able to come in person?
And just for everyone's edification, Mr. Beauchamp, our second 8 p.m. interviewee and applicant is Jeffrey Beauchamp. And Mr. Beauchamp is actually in South Carolina
Oh, okay.
right now, so he is going to be performing his interview with the Select Board over a Microsoft Teams link. And Mr. Beauchamp, can you hear us? Oh, can you hear us, Jeff?
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
Oh, can you hear? Looks like he can't hear us.
Okay.
They're on mute.
Hold on, we can use my microphone. Oh, no, because then I'd have to turn on my speaker. Do you have a microphone on that?
So Chris Keller told me the audio is fine, he can hear us. He's still in the call.
Jeff, can you hear us?
Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Chris. Yeah.
All right, there, I'll help you there.
So put in the chat that he needs to turn on the speaker. Can we type that on?
So unfortunately,
Which he's looking at again, as machine. Everyone else is muted. What she said. Turn on your, what does that say?
Volume.
Volume.
Yeah, microphone's on down there, so we're fine.
Yeah, I know our mic's on. He needs to turn on his volume.
I didn't say anything.
That's, you know what I mean?
We can hear you.
Well,
So if you're in a chat, there's a chat right there.
it's a,
Go ahead and type in the chat that.
Here you
that-
did.
I did.
Okay.
No, this is my kind of guy.
Speak now and say they hear.
can you hear me?
Yes,
We can hear you.
we can hear you.
Anybody?
Where's your phone? Is there a calling on the invitation?
Bruce would have his phone number, I don't.
I think Ron's calling him now.
Oh, he is, okay.
Oh, yeah, he's picking up a phone.
Which we could also do that.
Yep.
Call.
Here's your camera off for a minute. Let's see, you don't have anything plugged in, right? Speakers, microphone, intake, noise suppression. Maybe you should just call.
Yeah, the control was leave the camera who's there.
Okay, you're calling.
Hmm?
Let's see.
Yeah.
If there was ever a moment I wish I could reach through the screen.
Well, that's why I was like holding up the sign in
Bruce?
front of the camera.
Bruce,
Yes.
what's Jeff Beauchamp's phone number?
It's on his resume.
Is it on the resume? You see it?
Yeah. 508
Yeah.
728
You want to borrow mine?
1046.
Sounds like they didn't mute.
Sorry, Bruce.
Can you hear me, Rich?
Yes. Yes. Hopefully it's not his house phone.
No.
Hello?
Jeff, it appears your volume may be off. Is that what you think it
Yeah,
is?
I think,
The volume's on. I can't hear any of you though. Can you hear me now?
yes,
Yeah,
I can't hear.
yeah.
On your end.
We,
It says
Oh, now we can hear. Now we can hear him.
yep,
Brad is muted on this,
Yep.
on my screen.
We,
We can
coming,
hear him
it's
now.
coming through.
So we're gonna hang up the phone. We hear you now.
Oh, okay.
can you hear
Thank you.
us? Yeah, but the question is, can he hear us?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I hear nothing on your end.
Okay.
Call him back and then just mute the room.
Can you hear me? It's got
Yes.
All right. So if you want, you can mute yourself on your end and we'll just do you on speakerphone with Rich's phone here.
Okay. Mute this one.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All
Perfect.
right, sorry about all the electronics glitches here.
That's all right. So thank you for joining us. if you want to just take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself and what drew you to Brookfield and this opportunity.
Yes, sure. My name's Jeff Beauchamp. I'm a lifelong resident of East Brookfield. Currently a secondary water operator for the town of Brookfield Water Department for Dennis for the last 5-6 years. I'm not sure exactly. I've been in residential construction most of my life up until 5-6 years ago. I took on the responsibility of the whole water department in East Brookfield during COVID, and after I left there, I moved into construction work for another company, not self-employed anymore. And this is work that I'm kind of a hands-on kind of person, and work that I enjoy, and thinking that I could help Dennis out maybe a little more with him being the only one in the water department to have a highway department to work with. And I still licensed, obviously, with water, so I could help him out a little too with time off and whatnot to watch over that. So.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask the same question?
Yeah,
Same
yep. So I'll start off. So what has been your experience, dealing with the public? I mean, we're a small town here. What's your experience with that? If you can.
Well, I spent 2 years dealing with 620 water customers in East Brookfield during COVID. The water system has been under major repair, and the telephone rings quite often with irate customers over water quality, water bills, whatnot. COVID was somewhat trying. I also was replacing all 620 meters, water meters, and trying to get in people's homes during COVID, which most people didn't want you in there. So, I mean, I've had many of the yelling and screaming before you can even, say a word on one end of the phone line. And I just dealt with it. If I can explain what the problem is, and I can try and get you a solution. We can work together, and that's how it worked out for me anyway. There was, people were upset by a bunch of different things, to do with the water, and I was the water department. There was no secretary. There was no second operator. I was on call 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So I got all the calls, or I got the messages the next day. So I've had plenty of experience with them.
Excellent.
Jeff, this might be a question that's a no-brainer for you based on your experience in the water department, but it's the same question I asked the previous guy. How do you deal with water main breaks, and are you willing to come out in the middle of the night to assist the water department? So this is probably a no-brainer for you. You get a freebie on this one.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, when the situation occurs, it occurs. They usually happen on 4th of July and Christmas Eve, and somewhere between 10 p.m. and 2 in the morning. So you go out and do what you can do. If it's something you can get fixed right away, or you have to plan for the next day and, go from there. But it's things that I've done before. Thank God not 100 times, but we've had enough problems back in my other job, so
And that's something
I'm very used to it.
And that's something you're willing to do as a highway superintendent here to work with the water department?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, Beth is going to be the next person to
Okay.
ask you questions.
Yep, so Jeffrey, and bear with me, I warned the last applicant, I come from corporate America, so my questions have a lot of words in them, so
Okay.
be kind to me with this. So in terms of setting priorities, tell me about a time when you had conflicting priorities And what was your decision process for working through all the requirements that were in front of you?
Well, my experience in the water was quite conflicting most of the time, because I was trying to do the job I was hired for and then coordinate a $4 million water main replacement down Route 9 at the same time. And it was just constant juggling, trying to get DEP reports done on time and getting calls from the contractor that they hit a water main, you don't know where it came from, how to shut it off. Going back and forth, spending most days an hour or two after in the office trying to catch up on emails and things that needed to be done. It's just, I don't want to say there was no time to think, but you just had to go and do what needed to be done, and pick up the pieces at the end of the day and try and finish up where you started.
Great, thanks for that.
You have another one, Brad? or-
No, you can go ahead.
So Jeff, salt is a pet peeve of mine and what it's doing to our environment and our aquifer. What are your thoughts going to liquids instead of pure salt, and how would you do that?
Well, to be quite honest, I have to do some research on it. It's not a subject I can basically speak off the top of my head for pros and cons of either one. I know they're both available. I'm not sure of the process of liquid and the time consumed and whatnot and the dollar figures. I don't honestly know what a ton of salt costs right now. So that would be something that I would have to research and get back to you on.
Okay, fair enough.
How about handling road preservation? I mean, we're always limited on Chapter 90 funds. What is your experience with things like seal coating, chip sealing, fog sealing, things like that to preserve the roads? And what are your thoughts on how to preserve our roads?
Well, I guess the choices you just made were all something that can be researched as well, cost-wise, and I think the first thing is you have to assess the road itself and see what it's actually worthy of. Some may not be worthy of anything other than milling them and repaving, and others that aren't quite so old. Maybe crack filling's the answer. Keeping the edges cut back and keeping water off the road where possible are all things to consider.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff. It's a two-part question. What's the thing professionally that you were most proud of? Something that was like a project or something you were responsible for that, is like your best accomplishment? And then the flip side of that, what's something that you went into planning to do good things and something went sideways on you, and what'd you learn from that?
Well, I can say probably orchestrating the $4 million water main job in Route 9 was probably one of my biggest projects and accomplishments. Like I explained earlier, it was thrown on top of everything else that was, the job itself. And we made it through. It was ugly at times, and it's progress. At the end of the day, I think that the project needed to be done, and it was completed. Unfortunately, it cost a lot of money, and you're in the millions. But I think my biggest failure, so to speak, would have been the day that I left the water department in East Brookfield. I went, I don't know if you know this, but there is no Board of Water Commissioners in the town of East Brookfield. If you're a selectman, you're a water commissioner. That's how they do it. which obviously we know how much selectmen have to do, and throw the water on top of it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Correct, right. So I went in and put my cards on the table and said, I've got to get some help here. Not only did we just do that water main, there was a new water tank that was next in line that actually just got put online 2 weeks ago, and they're beginning to build a water filtration plant. And I said, I cannot do this job by myself. I need some clerical help. I need a secondary operator. I need something. And I was basically told that maybe I just needed to manage my time better. And that was the end. Nobody was looking to listen. Nobody said, geez, we need to set up a meeting and talk about this. That was it. So that was when I decided it was time to move on, because I cannot do that. I couldn't do the job by myself. And since I moved on, they have extra help. They have a full-time second operator. They have all kinds of things, which is fine. But I feel as though I kind of let down the people of the town that I lived in, and just thought it was something that I was going to be able to accomplish. And quite frankly, without the help of my board, there was no way that I was going to just fight this uphill battle every day of the week, 7 days a week, by myself. So I moved on. So.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
And it takes a lot of character. That's actually a character question, and thank you for showing that type of character, because a lot of people don't want to really take that hard look at stuff that they've done in their life. So, last question, or do you mind if I ask my last question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, just because we're on a roll here. So, developing people, what's your leadership approach? Like, you be coming into a situation, down a few people, doing some hiring, trying to put a new team together. Tell me a little bit about what's your approach to building a team.
Well, I guess the first thing is you have to assess what you have for a team already, if there is one. I don't really know what point it's all at over there. And I guess moving forward, hiring for these positions that are available, and I guess no different than the process I'm going through right now. Making your best decision on who you think should fit for these positions that are open, and hopefully move forward with a team that cares a little bit about their job and a little bit about the town. Like I said, when I was in the water, I was by myself. There was no team. So, I'm looking forward to having a team. So.
Fair enough. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Good answer.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you taking the time. And you're the second interviewee tonight, and we have one more. And
Does he have any questions for us?
Yeah, I asked the last individual if you had any questions for us. Do you have any?
Not really at this moment. I think I'm good. Thank you for your time, and I think I'm all set for the night.
All right.
Thanks a
Sounds
lot.
good, thank you.
Thanks again.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Mr. Cossie is here if you want to entertain a little bit of.
I would like to have an opportunity to use the men's room. If you
Yeah,
guys
go
are
ahead.
okay with that,
Great.
we'll take a break.
Hey, Don, did Mary Lou have that respiratory thing that was going around, or?
hasn't felt right for a week.
We got something going around our house. My daughter had it, my mom's got it.
She checked for COVID and
It's not the,
and so she just,
my wife just had it, and I'm got a little scratchy throat.
her eyes are bothering, her throat is bothering, and she's coughing.
Yeah, I had that same sort of thing from basically Christmas to New Year's.
Yeah.
I tested for, both COVID and flu.
We had it then too.
Yeah,
What's that?
we're on a second round of
This is the
something.
second time around.
This is the second time around for us since Christmas.
It's not the bird flu.
Well, that's good.
I was talking to Jeff, I have like those Z packs. So I took some of that high test stuff.
Yeah, I've been taking that extreme or whatever it is, the high vitamin C.
Yeah.
Oh, emergency?
Yeah.
Emergency, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's almost like candy, it shouldn't, it tastes good.
Well, here's the thing, depending on what study you look at, it does something or it doesn't do something. So it's kind of like pick your poison, right? It's probably not going to do anything bad to you, vitamin C. A high dose, a couple of high doses of vitamin C, it doesn't have any lasting negative health effect. And if it helps you even a little bit, then it's kind of like they say the zinc doesn't work, but I find that the lozenges with the zinc actually at least make me feel better. So
Yeah.
you know what? I don't care if it's a placebo effect.
Yeah.
If it's a placebo effect, you
It
know
works.
what? I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Christian Science is basically mind over matter, so I mean, if you can will yourself out in a particular situation.
If you have no mind, it just doesn't matter.
When I'm asking questions, I keep hearing, is Kelly Howard like, is he?
No.
Great.
Hey, good to see you.
How are you?
Have a seat.
Oh, wait, sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to open this up?
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. If you want, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what drew you to this opportunity.
Well, I was owner-operator early in life, and I changed careers, and I really enjoyed municipality work, and I started working at a sewer department. And from there, I moved on to a public works for several years, and I got all my licenses and worked my way up. I would like to get into a management position, and I didn't have enough experience yet, so I moved on to working with water, and I've been there for a little over 2.5 years, and with my years of experience and my knowledge now of getting me where I'd like to be.
Excellent. Did I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we're a small town here, obviously. What's your experience dealing with the public, and what's your temperament around that? And
Well, quite a bit. Working with Whitewater, we are encouraged to explain what's going on to the residents and let them know, when water will be turned back on, why it's not working, so on and so forth. And it's they're pretty adamant about being polite, explaining yourself, and diffusing situations because they're usually pretty upset by don't get water.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll go next. We've got a little under 500 water services in the past with our highway superintendents. We've worked hand in hand with the highway and water. That's something that I'd like to see we get back to.
Okay.
And are you willing to do that, as well as take care of any water main breaks, water main issues in all hours of the day and night? Is that something that you're willing to, as a highway superintendent, to work with?
The only thing, I have never tapped a main personally. Whitewater's always hired out for that, But as for water main breaks, we just did one yesterday. We're going to do one tomorrow. It's that time of the year. You know, very comfortable with doing that. Fixing services, when the gas company is putting in new services, they nick up pipe. No problem at all.
Okay. So my questions are pretty simple. Beth is the tough one here. So I had the opportunity to sit in on the questions with the highway department, so I only had 2 for you. Beth has got a couple, so.
Okay, great. So, and I've been warning everybody up front. I have the wordy questions, so.
Okay.
Okay. So tell me about a time when you had conflicting priorities. What was your decision process, right? And how did you approach working through the requirements?
As in to go back to when I was self-employed, I owned a small mobile food company. And on the weekends, I had concession trailers. And working through the preparation of getting the concession trailer ready for the Brookfield flea market and running a business at the same time, I did delegate some responsibilities. My mom was a huge help with me. I did have a couple of other helpers that would go to BJ's and do some ordering and stuff like that. Just look at the situation and chip away at the most important issues at hand and tackle them one at a time. Don't get overwhelmed.
Great, thank you for that.
What's your experience with road preservation techniques like seal coating, fog sealing, chip sealing, things like that?
I've never done any of that.
Okay.
Yep. We, it's always been hot mix work, patchwork, stuff like that, but the town of Charlton does that type of sealing. Southbridge has never.
Yeah.
You can tell when you drive through.
It's slowly coming along. We have a new director that's really moving some mountains, so.
Winter salt and road conditions, a pet peeve of mine. I know that some of the towns around are going to liquids. Do you have any experience with liquids and preserving our aquifer rather than using pure salt?
I've never used liquid. I'm not familiar with it. I've never had the opportunity to work for the state. I know the state uses liquid as well. It's always been salt.
Is that something you're willing to look into?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm done.
Okay.
Real easy.
All right. 2 sides of the same coin. Share with us what professionally you feel is one of your biggest accomplishments, right? And then tell us about a time when you went into something with good intentions and it went sideways on you and what you learned out of that.
So one of the things that had gone sideways on me almost a year ago now is I'm pretty good tester. I can study very well and I've always had a positive outcome, and I recently went for my D2, Distribution 2 water license. And I thought I had it in the bag and I missed it by 1 point. Literally Oof. 1 point. Oof. And I just went back and I just studied twice as hard, and you know, I wasn't as arrogant, I guess you could say, and overcame it, and I did pass it. And last year alone, I obtained a D2 water license, backflow, and surveyor's license as well.
That's great.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
So it sounds like you turned a failure into a success if you got all of those licenses.
Yes, I knew not to be so laxed any longer. It wasn't just, you know, I'm getting older, so repetition, just kept repeating it over and over and over. So.
Fair enough. Awesome.
So, are you done, Beth?
I've got one more, but.
Oh, go ahead then, because I wanted to ask if you.
Okay. So you talked a little bit, like especially when you were a small business owner, and it looks like you're more in a direct, like labor role currently. But can you talk to us a little bit about your approach to developing people, developing a team, bringing people in, and you know, setting priorities and leading a team?
Having experience working in public works, unity is a huge problem. And it's something that I've always wanted to fix. Just talking to people and listening to what they have to listening to what they're saying and where they're coming from is a huge asset, I feel. And when you hear the other side of the coin, you can actually understand where they're coming from if there happens to be a hostile comment or issue, and just, you know, confront them, be direct, be polite, and I'm just me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just listen, you know, and the job needs to get done. But that's the bottom line.
Great. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
And then we asked everyone, do you have any questions for the select board?
My only question is, I had the opportunity to interview with the subcommittee a week ago, and I had, you know, prepared and you know, studied all these administrative questions and answers, and, you know, once I came in, I quickly realized that it was, you know, kind of a wasted effort. One of my first questions were, you know, what is my mechanic ability? What type of licenses do I have as an operator? What type of equipment can I operate? What is my road knowledge? And one of the questions that did stick out to me that actually stumped me was, I was asked, do I know anything about Chapter 90 money, and do I have any experience? And I truthfully answered, no, I do not, because I have never been in that position. Today, I can tell you that Chapter 90 money is, you know, state grant funds used for projects that are to create or, extend the life of local capital facilities or private roadways. I do understand the resume before you may not have everything that checks off all the boxes, but I am willing to learn. I am willing to do whatever it takes to maintain the criteria for this role. I currently am a licensed operator. I do have a very strong mechanical skill. I do have a vast, you know, knowledge of, you know, road work. Not everything. I'm not going to tell you I know it all. My question to you is if you could just please review my qualifications and my resume just a little bit harder, because I'm very passionate about this job and very passionate about this possible position.
All right. Thank you again for coming in.
I do have a list of all my licenses and such. I don't know if you'd like copies or...
Did you guys already get copies during the first interview?
We got the information on the resume. We did not make copies. Excuse me, we didn't make copies of the licenses.
Yeah, if they're copies, we'll take a copy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Copy for
They're
sure.
all yours.
Perfect. Thank you.
The hoisting license nowadays, they don't give you new hard copies any longer, but I did do the printout of when my hoisting license
Actually, you know
expire
what?
on the next day.
Let's not take them, just because I'm concerned about the fact that it's got all your personal information on
Okay.
there. I mean, it's clear that he's got it, but it's just in this environment, there's so much
Sure.
risk and it's not anybody here, but all it
No.
takes is for somebody to throw something away and somebody else to go dumpster diving. I'd be more comfortable actually.
No,
not-
I just,
not
in this
taking
day
a
and
copy.
age, talk is cheap, and I just wanted to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah. So, and I do have one question for you. So it looks like, right, so I'll give you just a little bit of sharing information. I have a fairly colorful and varied resume myself. So what do you think, you know, having run your own business and then also worked as, you know, kind of hands-on operator? I do want to revisit one thing with you. What do you see as the skills that you acquired when you were self-employed? Do you see, how do you see those skills applied potentially to a small highway department, based on your knowledge of the operation down in Southbridge?
I'm not a follower, I'm a leader. I'm not I'm not stuck in, well, this is how we've always done it. About, new innovative ways, what's best for the town. Obviously, technology has advanced over the years, different equipment. For instance, you want to change to, liquid, that's like calcium or whatever, and get away from the road salt, whatever. I'm open to all ideas, and again, I don't know it all. I'm willing to work with everybody and get the job completed, maintain the town.
Thanks for that. All right, that's all I have.
I'm good as well.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Pleasure meeting you.
So,
Not an easy one.
no,
What did you say?
not an easy one.
No. I think the highway committee did an exceptional job putting forward.
I don't think this was close to the last group of candidates we had for this.
I mean, last time the first words out of my mouth were none of the above.
You're not talking about town administration.
That was actually, I thought that was pretty easy.
I don't have the point scoring from the highway committee. Do you?
I didn't provide this point scoring. I didn't tally them up.
Oh, you didn't? I
I
thought.
did not.
What was the recommendation that you guys came up with? Did you send that to us?
Yeah, he sent it 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So
Okay.
can I say it or?
Well,
Do you wanna know what it was?
I know what it was, but
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to make sure you guys.
Yeah, I did too.
But I'm ready to make a decision if you guys are.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend the same
Same as
applicant as the highway committee because I felt he definitely stood out.
Yeah, the only,
in every way.
the only downside to him was just the water thing, but everything else was 100%.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? I mean,
We're not necessarily looking for a water.
we're not
looking for a water.
we're not really
But-
looking,
but
it's a nice bonus,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
But
and
he
the
has
flip
the
side,
experience.
yeah.
And he hit it both in the highway committee that I witnessed, and he hit it home run again today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. So I'm going to make a motion that we hire Kyle Rutkowski as our new highway superintendent.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So I think I'd like to make a motion that Ron contact him and discuss what our offer would be. So
I
do
talked
we
to
know what
Ron,
that
and
looks
I
like?
was willing to sit with him, with Ron, and go over negotiate the pay scale as well as what we think we need to go going forward. I reached out to where he works and found out what the pay scale is that he's receiving.
Okay.
It's public information.
Yeah, it is public
I don't know
information.
that I want to
Yeah, I wouldn't say
Yeah, I'm not
say
gonna
it
share it
here,
here,
but,
yeah. I Googled it, so I'm assuming that what I came up with
and
is about the
I
same.
know that it's in our price range.
Yeah, yep. That a decent bump for being the number one guy and
Yeah.
the responsible party is
Yeah.
still within our price range.
And based on what I could tell as far as travel,
Yeah, it saves him an
think
hour a
it's-
day of his life.
well, I would venture to say more like 2.5. based on in
No.
Brookfield? Well,
No.
let me explain.
Oh,
Well-
it takes at least an hour to get to.
Takes an
Westport.
hour there, an hour back?
That traffic is, well,
And-
maybe
Well,
not-
I
maybe
know,
not
I used
these
to, I
days,
used to
but-
live in, I used to work
Yeah.
in Marlboro
Oh, okay.
from here,
Yeah.
so I know exactly what that.
So this
commute is.
time of year, it can certainly be an hour each way, and then
Yeah.
in Marlboro, I mean, where he works, he's not paid for his lunch break. Here they are. So they come in at 7, and they're on their way home at 3 o'clock at the highway department.
Yeah.
And that's been put in place, I think, prior to you as well, is that correct? But the way that they're paid for the lunch break, I think
I have
that
no
goes
idea.
back quite a ways.
Yeah,
Because it used to be 7, they come in at 7, go home at 3:30.
yep,
Somehow,
it went from 7 to 3.
7 to 3, so that's my 2.5 hours a day.
Okay,
So I think it could fluctuate a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
pretty close.
One of the things, if I could suggest to assist Rich and I to kind of establish some guardrails, if individually you could maybe email me your not to exceed rate that you would not be comfortable above, that'll at least kind of give us a, if we're above that. I mean, frankly, what I certainly don't want to do for us as well as for Kyle is to negotiate a rate, bring it back to the board and have both Brad and Beth say, whoa, way too expensive.
Ron,
think Rich is
I'd
gonna
be
do
the one
that.
sitting with you, right?
I
Not
was
now.
gonna say, I was gonna say.
Rich will
it's one
have
thing
already
if I-
kicked me a
It's one
couple
thing if I was
times.
sitting with you, but if Rich is sitting with you, I don't think
I
that's
think this is
happening.
Beth sitting with that.
I've already told Rich, minimum wage is probably a little low.
Yeah, no. So,
I think this is a great opportunity to build our highway department from pretty much the ground up, and
I don't want to veer off topic, but I feel like it needs to be said to a degree. I mean, and I don't know if this is the time to use
get
this
back to it.
opportunity, but I can't venture to think that Mike's going to be here 5-10 years from now. And, you know, I think if you had, you know, I've had a comment with you before you were on the select board, and when you said this town was run by 2 people for a long period of time, I feel like if you had Jeff and Kyle, they probably could do quite a bit of work and damage between the 2
I'm
of them.
expecting Kyle to do it all, so. Yeah. No, the man stood out to me from the very first portion of the interview right to the end, and every time now when I see him, I'm just as impressed as the first. So I think it's a good decision made.
so, and Karen pointed out that I didn't finish my motion. My motion was to, for us to authorize Ron to negotiate an acceptable wage and benefit package with the highway super, which I think actually it's more notifying them what our other standards are, because I believe highway super is one that's in a position that basically can't have a contract. It has to just be an offer letter, so, by law.
So I'll second that for discussion.
So,
But as the liaison, I would like to be, I'd like to
Yeah,
sit with
well, I
him.
was going to say, I don't think that precludes you
it
from...
doesn't
so-
preclude
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
from sitting with
Yeah.
him. It just means that
Yeah.
he's the guy that's got point.
Sure.
So, and if you start running rogue, then he's supposed to squeal on you like the pig he is.
Chief Blanchard will give me a taser.
So, awesome.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hey Steve,
So-
I'm gonna forward you some test code of HTML, because we had a citizen that heard the discussion that decided to tinker, so.
Annual town meeting discussion date.
Yeah, I'll try to make this fairly quick. You can see in your packet, I have come up with a proposed, and at this point, it looks like it's probably pretty much I don't want to say set in stone, but a pretty good guideline of how the budget schedule will roll for the next several months leading up to annual town meeting. The one thing is I want to make sure so that the budget schedule is truly in fact in place, is establish what the board would like to call, or when they would like to call the annual town meeting. I'm suggesting June 5th, which is the first Thursday of June, which is exactly what we had for last year, at 6:30.
Can you find a date that doesn't work?
Have you checked already with
I have an email, not with the moderator, I have an email into Dr. Hosterman, but I will definitely check with the moderator as well.
That works. I conveniently have it blocked out for a select board meeting anyway, so.
Well,
So do we need to actually make a motion for the date? Is that it?
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal of June 5th pending moderator availability
Okay.
and
Second.
school availability.
and,
Yeah, go ahead.
yep, I was going to say, the other thing that's a possibility, I'll put Jake on the spot, is one of the things we are working towards as a possibility, it has, maybe have an annual town meeting up in,
Be here.
yeah, be
So
up
we
in the
might
Great
have to
Hall.
Work with the school.
Oh, that'd be fabulous.
Yeah, but I, as I said, I still have checked with Dr. Hostman to make sure the school is
an
available
option.
just in case. I want to put pressure on Jacob, but not that much.
It gets pretty stuffy in that basement of that school. At
Oh,
least
yeah,
here you
it's-
can open the windows, or at least attempt to. Second.
Yeah, I did second.
Yeah, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Excuse me, I'm just going to check to see if Kyle is still out in the lobby.
Oh, he might still be there?
He was talking to Bruce.
Oh,
So that
I'll make a
was-
motion to approve the minutes for 10/17/24, 11/7/24, and 12/19/24.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who wants to make that motion? That's
I'll make a
the last
motion.
special one.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, you didn't want to do the COLA while we were here?
I thought we
No,
were
no,
tabling.
taking it out of
he
order.
said to table it. We're tabling 3 of them. Oh, he didn't write it.
He didn't write it on
No.
that, no. Okay.
We'll
But I
get,
checked with him before the meeting.
we'll
He
get
said-
to fight another day.
Get to fight another day.
And
Okay,
it's 2.1 next year. I saw they're tracking it, so.
awesome.
Is it possible?
So the reason,
2.9.
Is it possible to make a comment, because that's the only reason I came?
Yeah,
was to
yeah.
I don't know if I can make it next Thursday, but will it be for next Thursday if you're gonna do it, or not?
Are we going to do a meeting next Thursday?
I think we were waiting to find out what your board came up with for a recommendation, is my
We
opinion.
normally don't time this early, but I think based on our previous, if I may speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the agenda, so we can talk about it. We were just planning on tabling it.
But
so.
based on our previous discussion and then just sort of a straw poll last night, our maximum, whatever recommendation would be the COLA, which the government put out at 2.5. From other members, we're going back and forth between 1.5, 2, and 2.5. So, I mean, we have a wide variety of things. I think we can, again, my role is sort of to mobilize a consensus and sort of look at all angles. So I think we can get
So, I
to the
mean,
2.5, but we might have some struggle for anything above that. So we normally historically
everybody-
come in under what
yeah, the select.
selectmen recommend, and we always, fight that battle, but I think it's, at least from my common sense standpoint, we have followed COLA in the past. We had, the COVID situation where there was an inflation massive increase, and that sort of threw our thinking off a little bit and caused, some turmoil that we're still trying to clean up, but I feel comfortable with the advisory committee, not saying firmly, but just from last night and from previous history, will be in that range.
I think it's
So if that will
important.
help your discussion next week or whenever you have it, then that's fine.
I think it's important that when we go to the annual town meeting, we're all in unity, that there's not, I would like to see that the 3 select board come together to meet whatever that is that we've tasked you to come up with as the board, as a 5-member board, very similar to the highway committee, right? They put a recommendation forward and we pretty much went with it, right? But I'm not saying that someone can't have their own opinion otherwise, but it would be really nice going into a town meeting that everyone is in agreement.
We welcome that every year. We normally have,
That's my goal.
3 joint
Session
group meetings between the board and the advisory committee to have those out.
I think
every
the
year normally we have a couple of things that we just agree to disagree on, and fortunately or unfortunately, has been the case. I don't know. Every other year, perhaps.
Yeah. I've heard from previous committees that they go in and they'll do X number of work for a long period of time, and then they'll come before the Board of Selectmen, and the selectmen do the opposite of what that committee put the time into. So I want to really, me personally, I would like to really value the amount that the committee puts in. I put a little opposition tonight to do with the town hall improvement committee about the rug, but I thought that we could probably do better in the possibility of spending more money, and I know they were trying to work within a bracketed amount, but I just didn't want to do it on a temporary basis, so that, but I value the work that they put in, and I want to make sure that I say that.
Well, again, speaking as the chairman and for the committee itself, we have a certain viewpoint, and we work for the selectmen. The selectmen are taking in a number of other issues besides just, the fiscal side of it. So we might, as I said, I'll be the first one to say it, we put a hell of a lot of time in.
Yeah.
We always look like deer in headlights in front of the town meeting because there's always something that we just can't quite get right because there's some last minute change or whatever. But that's what we accepted as a responsibility as being volunteers, right? And so for me, on a personal basis, I don't, it's my job to try to get consensus within the committee, but again, we could go in very different opinions, but it might be 3-2 in one way or the other. And that's not that I don't value the other people's opinions because they have a certain point of view.
Sure.
And so again, if we can go in as a consensus, fine, but if we feel strongly one way or the other, I'm not going to force one way or the other because we work with the selectmen. We make a recommendation and you look at it and say yes or no, and these are the other factors we want to consider, and that's what we do. I would love for us to all go in unified, but I mean, sometimes it just doesn't happen, and so I appreciate your sentiments, but I know you guys value what we do, and again, we've been through a lot the last few years given the circumstances, and we accept that responsibility. I welcome it because I value living here and trying to make it a fiscally responsible, budget and everything else. And the only reason, again, my last statement, just listening to the people last night, was that because we came so close to being over the budget, going into the town meeting, and we had to really struggle at the end. That's why I think it's more of a point of emphasis, even though the dollar amount might be.
It's $9,000. The difference between 2.5% and 3% is $9,000.
But remember, up until a week and a half before the town meeting last week, we were 10,000 over, and we had all of that.
But I also want to remind everybody very quickly, right, that when we start tying it to Social Security COLA, but we ignore it the year that it's 8.9, we quote-unquote saved the town $53,000 the year that it was 8.9. But then but now we're going to say our absolute cap is what the federal COLA is. It's, to me, a bit disingenuous.
Mm-hmm.
okay?
I-
So
and I
that's
wasn't-
where I have a little bit of heartburn
Yeah.
with it, and that's why I tell you what, I can get outvoted. Y'all want to outvote me,
Yeah.
and you want to say 2.5%, you want to say 2%, go. But I will tell you right now, I will not vote anything lower than 3%, period, because of the fact that the $9,000 that's between 2.5% and 3%, okay, is only going to be basically a portion of what we held back in the year when it happened to be an 8.9% increase, okay? And I don't think you can talk out both sides of your mouth and say, hey, in a year that it's inconvenient because it's nearly 9%, we're not going to do COLA, but my absolute cap is COLA any other time.
Yeah,
I think that's garbage.
And
But Bev, don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying is that's what we normally use.
I understand
I don't
that.
mean to say you're in
No,
general.
I just mean,
Okay,
yeah.
and I
It's
know-
not you. It's
I-
Jeff, and I apologize. I'm not saying
No,
you.
and
It's-
I know when you have a firm position.
Yeah.
I can, because I've had your dealings with you before as far as all this.
Yeah.
But again, I just talked for the committee, and that's
Absolutely.
basically the committee
Yep.
viewpoint.
Yep.
And so again, I don't have a problem if we go in lower and you guys recommend three, whatever you recommend, that's fine. I'm just saying is that we do our job, and that's more or less where we're at the moment. We reserve the right to change it if we're not within $20,000 or $10,000 of whatever the number is, the levy limit, in March or April or May. Again, we have no idea if we're going to be at. Then, maybe we'll, for reconsideration. We've had a moving target. Last year, we had a moving target, I think, every month.
Every year you have a moving
Every
target.
month, right. So, again, I'm not pointing a stick in the sand. This is a flag in
Yeah,
the
we got
ground.
you.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that's where we were last night after discussion, preliminarily. Because I'm not sure we started this discussion last year. I don't think the board made a recommendation until like a month before.
Yeah.
Things were just,
Yeah.
we're on top of it this year, that's fine. I don't want to start any whatever, I'm just saying this is more or less where we're at, just to give you an idea. As you've stated your point, you guys, whatever you do. But
So-
that's what I wanted to come and say.
So the only other thing that I want to add to that is we cannot raise taxes more than 2.5%, right? So based on that part, that's another reason that I'm pretty firm on the 2.5, and Beth and I can agree to disagree on this one, but I wasn't a selectman when anyone made any promises, and
But I think the problem is if you keep it at the 2.5 and you only always do 2.5, eventually your employees aren't going to keep up with what the market is. So you're going to have to adjust anyways. Therefore,
if that's the
whether-
case, we'll deal with that then, but.
Yeah, do you do it
It's just one
over
tool,
time a little
because-
bit, or do you have to do it in big bites like we did with the Collins
yeah,
Center,
and
right?
I don't want to do it in big bites.
I think that's,
And what I was going to say is, I think what would have been better when it was agreed to tie to COLA is that there should have been a cap on it. Maybe a 5 or 6% cap. And if you wanted to, you could even straddle it on the backside and put like a 1.5 or 2% minimum for those really low years.
Yep.
And kind of have it straddled in between
And
the two.
maybe that's something that we do now, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm, if we were to put something like that in place, then I might shift.
Yeah.
Right? But what I don't like is
Because I
the
think
fact-
what's going to happen
but
is, I was reading today, so this year's 2.5. They're saying the projection for next year is already looking like 2.1. I could even see it,
Going under. I could see
Go-
it go
going
1.8.
under, right.
We've had some years of 1.8.
right, so,
Right, I mean, I think, I've never felt in the 7 years that I've been on the advisory committee that it was tied together. It was just a useful standard because, it was like a lot of other people had put time and effort into it. And we always use that sort of, okay, fine. And if it just happens that that's the number that year, fine. But again, if we tie it, simplifies things a little bit, I guess, so we don't have all this discussion. But the other thing I was going to mention is that we started, some of the members of our committee are saying, well, now that we have Ron in place who's taken over sort of the lead in the budget and coordinating everything, and comes from a business perspective, that, you know, okay, we can look at the cost cutting or maybe cost stabilization a little bit more, and because if you have this, Rich is saying, the 2.5%, excuse me, you know, sort of cap on the revenues, then maybe we need to figure out other places we can maintain or lower, and then that would give us more flexibility as far as increases for the salary or increases or whatever.
Or longer term, and I know this is a pet of yours, is coming up with other revenue streams like the high-speed internet.
Right.
You know, that's one of the keys as well. I mean, one of the challenges is that we typically manage to the spend and not to the revenue, right? And you need both sides of a ledger in order for any of it to make any sense.
Either revenue or more taking a closer eye on grants. I mean,
yeah.
I think the grant writer is something that we really need to
revisit.
Yeah.
So.
Just a small point, but I know it's good to get it out early, I think, and then work it through.
Yep.
Because as I said, I remember last couple of years, we were struggling to get the selectmen's viewpoint as we were going through.
Through the process.
There's much better communication, whatever. So,
yep.
Thank you for letting me have my piece.
I just want to, I want to say one more thing before we make the motion to adjourn. I want to thank Don as the chairman of the Highway Committee. What a professional job he did running that. I sat in on all of it. Good job.
Yeah.
And thank you for your time.
Job with running.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn if we're all set.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I think that's the only motion that there is no discussion on.
I just like